Here's what happened, guys. Today, I'm in a new city in Charleston, getting ready for or preparing for a Future Fest next month on January 15th in downtown Charleston, South Carolina. And the person who picked me up from the airport, we were having a conversation. She's the GM of the hotel that I'm staying at the hotel that I'm staying at on this trip. And it was really cool to get her perspective um, on just on the country, and then specifically on talking about how much she liked Main Street and going into a small town, seeing on Main Street all these independent small businesses. And I've said it before here: small businesses are the heart of the economy, and they have such. I think about with all the businesses here in the U.S., 99% of businesses are small businesses. So this we have a big voice, and when we unite, we can continue to have a big voice in shaping the future. But we were talking back and forth about the state of what's going on today in the country, and what came up for her was talking about how young people are struggling to communicate at her work, and especially in hospitality, it's really difficult. And I think back to, like, okay, well, what is the future that we want in our country? And if we can clearly identify what that future could look like, then we can move forward in that direction, rather than getting stuck in confusion. And it can feel like you're just going through, like you're going through the fog and you're trying to figure this out. So when there's clarity, that can be really helpful for speed in moving forward with this movement. And it was such a great conversation. It was awesome to learn more about her story, and then to be able to share more about the movement with her, and for us to just have a genuine, awesome conversation. And that is the future that I want for this country. I want more of those type of conversations where we can connect with one another, understand one another, especially if we've just met for the first time. We are able to connect and realize that we are all part of this civil society, and that we get to decide, one, how we shape it. As I think about that, as small business owners and as Americans, we get to come together and realize we do have a voice, and that it doesn't have to feel so helpless out there or hopeless out there. And it was really cool, like, for the change in energy that I felt, and being able to get fired up for today's show with you today. So that's what I want more of. I don't want us to go more towards us being having all of our different tasks in our day being done by AI, and communicate less and less with each other, and we are stuck in our own isolated worlds. That's not the future that I want. I want the future where we have more genuine conversations, and we come together and unite and realize that we can improve this country. And I love this country, and I hope you love this country too. And realizing that we can move forward and bring this vision that America's future small business renaissance into reality. So, what I want to do for today's show, welcome back to the show. I want to again recap what's been happening this week relating to AI. Hearing the what was said about about how she really liked, going back to the conversation I had with the GM of the hotel I'm staying at. It was cool for her to talk about how much she really liked independent small businesses, and it is a trend. I mean, you think about in this country, for small businesses, when small businesses are thriving, the quality of life of communities improves, and small businesses have a very positive reputation overall. And it's not perfect. I mean, nobody's perfect. So we have an opportunity here to really stand firm in what the direction is going to be moving forward for the future. And what I want to see more of are small business owners who own their buildings for storefronts rather than lease. Predominantly, it's leases now. And so, how can we move forward, if it's from a policy perspective to incentives, to make it where more small businesses are owning their buildings, having more equity in this country? I go back to home ownership. I talked about it before for young people, where back in the early 1980s, the average home price was 3 times the median income. Today, it's 7 times the median income. So we've got to focused on helping people to build equity in this country, because it comes back to the more when you have equity, there's a deeper level of care for your community, for the if it's the home, or if it's the business storefront. There is a different level that happens. It doesn't mean you don't care if you're leasing or you're renting, but there is a different level, and it's important to acknowledge that, for the level of care and wanting to continue to improve it and make sure that we have this pride, this new standard of pride for the work that we're doing. If it's in the small business, to the communities that we're part of, making sure that the communities are improving, and then overall our country as well. So that's one focus, and then the other one is continuing to focus on local. If it's supporting your local businesses in the area, that are small businesses, I'm not naive to think that all of your basic needs are going to be met through just small businesses. It'd be cool to see if we can continue to move forward and move more in that direction. And it's for you in just in your day, being able to determine, okay, where can I go and get groceries? If that is at a local grocer nearby, or instead of a major chain, or looking at if it's okay, I want to get Christmas gifts coming up. And especially, I mean, I think about how many days are left, if it's late shopping, okay, could I shop at a local business? If it's local artisans, and being able to, yeah, I think about that, like get like a cool, what would be, I think about that, like a cool cookware. That's something I've been cooking a lot. So I'm like, oh man, it'd be nice to get a great chef's knife, or cutting board. That'd be really cool. And so, where can we just take a few minutes each day to continue to focus on where could we improve on wanting on supporting small businesses? And then the other one is going more cash. That's the other thing. Going more cash. We've built this debt society of $38 trillion for this country, and this country is in debt. $38 trillion. Gen Z is the most in debt generation for their age group in the history of the U.S. And so I talked about before, BNPL, buy now, pay later, how a lot of young people are using them to buy just basic goods like groceries. It's not to try to live above their means, but there's a lot of young people that are using it just to meet their needs, and that is wrong. To just have it where you're having to use credit in order to pay for your basic needs. And I go back to how the welfare has ballooned in this country, thinking about for government assistance, programs like SNAP, and how we're seeing different fraud cases that are coming up relating to it. But that is not the answer. The answer is, how can we increase incomes, quality of life, increase more opportunities if it's for small businesses to be able to employ Americans, for more small businesses to be created, to increase competition. How can we focus on that from a policy perspective to incentives? And the other aspect of this is taxes as well. I think about this with data centers. So yesterday had the Citizen Bill of Rights, that the AI roundtable, where that was shared more in depth, for Florida's governor Ron DeSantis, leading that, and got into understanding more of these tax subsidies for data centers. And what I found out, was, for an example, we'll go to the state of Texas. Texas, there is a state sales tax exemption for qualified data centers. And I think about all these other subsidies, and you can look at that across industries, different industries, and there are your reasons. You can argue for them or against them. But where can we continue? The theme that comes up for me is simplify the tax code. Where can we do that? If that's going from local level, state to federal, where can we simplify that? And let's work in that direction. Let's not make it more complicated. Because if you ever looked at the tax code, how many pages? It's ridiculous. It is crazy the amount of pages in that tax code. So that could be simplified. And recently, what happened because I know I talked about how taxpayers are having to pay more in electricity bills. So residents nearby with data centers or nearby data centers are experiencing for different places such as Virginia or different states such as Virginia. I talked about where there are increases in electricity bills and the impact that data centers have on the overall grid, as well as water usage. You got to continue to question it of like, does it make sense? So it's being curious when it doesn't make sense, asking questions, and like, does this actually benefit the local communities in the area? Because the trend that I've seen, or what I've noticed for the pattern, is that these are being built in poor communities. I think about in Memphis, Tennessee, for Colossus X AI, that data center there. And you gotta continue to ask yourself these questions and noticing where are we putting our incentives? Is it in a way that's going to be able to benefit the local communities? And what I've noticed for a trend, this is coming from Data Center Watch, is that for quarter two of this year, 20 data center projects were blocked or delayed due to local opposition. And that was something to talk about in the AI roundtable in Florida, or that Florida's governor Ron DeSantis was leading. And it's something we got to continue to talk about, is that what is the future that we want for this technology? Because there is the future where this can completely transform all industries, and we're going to have a lot more of our daily activities that are going to be impacted by AI. So you have that option where you're going pendulum swing all the way there. Or do we realize that, okay, this could be beneficial in certain ways for technology? I use large language learning models like Gronk to be able to help out and simplify the research, or my research. But we got to ask ourselves, okay, how far does this go? What is the boundary? And as small business owners, we're one of the first adopters of this too, as small business owners in the business space, because you're not having to deal with the levels of bureaucracy that can come with bigger organizations. And so this is an opportunity here to decide what that future is and have that conversation. For me personally, I want us to lean more towards being able to realize this is just a tool. This isn't God. This is a tool, and we can leverage this for efficiency and convenience. But we don't have to completely give up our control to AI, and it doesn't have to take over all the decision making or make decisions without human involvement in there. That is wrong, and we need to remind ourselves of the importance of having the human experience where humans are involved. I think back to the conversation I had, conversation I had with the GM of the hotel I'm staying at, excuse me, and how we talked about like how there's this feeling that can come up, and I think about that with small businesses. She was talking about Main Street and really liking Main Street and seeing all the independent businesses and not these chains, these chain restaurants, chain stores that can come up. And I also think about it for the care and the warmth. Going back to the heart of the economy, I believe our small business owners are the heart of the economy. There's a warmth there. And as the organization gets bigger and bigger, it just happens where it gets colder. It gets more rigid. There's more levels of bureaucracy. And that is something we have to continue to move forward in supporting in the future. Our small business owners being able to bring warmth into the community as a feel the homey feeling. You think about it, you go to your mom and pop store or you go to your local restaurant, and you feel you feel welcomed into the community. You are able to have conversations with maybe even the owner of the business and learn more about their story. And then you get to have conversations with some of the team members as well. It's not to say that we still can't connect with these bigger organizations. And I mean, there's companies out there that are focused on community building that are bigger, but there is a difference there. And if you've experienced both of them, you know what I'm talking about for the difference. So that's something else that we can move forward in for the future, because the other thing that comes up is just the mixed messaging here. with the future. And you tell me if this has been coming up for you, because I feel it in my gut where I'm like, how did we get to the point where convenience now becomes the driver for us to become isolated, right? And what I mean by that is that, you think about at a grocery store, you have the self checkout. And so I even have the tendency to go towards the self checkout. Why do I do it? Well, it's convenient. Sometimes the grocer is not pleasant. Like it's not a great experience. Maybe there's a bigger line. And so I got there, and then with enough repetition, it got to the point where I go to the self checkout. But then I go to a business, and again, this is bigger business. But I go to a business like Trader Joe's, and I see that there's no self checkout there, and so you go in, you're having the interactions with, and even when I sometimes feel off, and I just sometimes don't really want to talk, and sometimes I don't talk that much, but it's just there is a familiarity, and that can feel safe of like, okay, there's a human here, I'm connecting with the human. And even if it's just slight, there can be a slight energy change that can come up for me, and you may experience this too. And that's just one example. I mean, you have other ways where it feels like we're doing like everything. You can order things from your phone instead of talking to someone. You can, like, if it's going to if it's flying and going to the screen to check out or to check in and get your boarding pass, or or you just do it on your phone too. That's what I mean. That's what I do. But it's like interesting how many different things in your life went from someone else helping you with that to then you doing it and taking that on. And I'm interested in why that happened. Was that intentional? Was there any intention there? Because I think of what happens now is there's this feeling, there's this feeling of overwhelm that can be experienced in our society. Feeling of overwhelm, more anxiety. You think about that, more anxiety is rising, more feelings of overwhelm when it comes to debt. Personal debt is rising. All these different things stack up, and it then becomes really hard to critically think. It becomes really hard to want to improve your life or improve your community or improve the area or the country that you live in, because you're just focused on surviving. You're just like, I need to get by. I need to get my basic needs. I need to know where I'm going to go for getting food. And it's interesting for me. That's where certain things don't make sense, of like, how did convenience lead us to this direction? And have we gone too far in convenience as the goal? And maybe could we come back to moral values such as discipline and pushing through, where I think of just like a workout, going for a run. Like you got to push through for that wall. There's a moment where you decide, okay, I feel like I could stop here, or am I going to push through and get even more benefit from the workout rather than just doing it for like 5 seconds? So there's that, like, having to push through a wall. And I'm curious how we got to this place. Was it intentional in some ways to get here? Or did it just happen? And then now, have we gone too far? I would say yes. And then now we have to move back into what are those moral values we got to focus on and celebrate in this country. And one of them is celebrating meritocracy in our society and in our working as small business owners too, being able to celebrate that. So I that's going to be for another show to get into it. But I have an update for you that I want to share. This is from the Small Business Administration, the SBA Office of Advocacy. So I had been stating, and this is where I got to change. Got to change this. I'd been stating that there are 33 million small businesses in the U.S., and I am now wrong. It is the number is 36 million small businesses, which is incredible to see that growth. Now, what are those 3 extra million? You got to go through the SBA Office of Advocacy. You can look it up. Their 2025 small business profiles. You can look that up, and you'll be able to check it out. And as I said, as this show continues to grow, I'll be able to just show it to you right away if you're watching this. But if you're listening, either way, or if you're listening, you're gonna have to You can look it up. But that's exciting. Again, it's we want to continue to grow that for the number, but then the other number I'm focused on is how many employees are there for small businesses? How many people that small businesses employ? And I think about this for Americans. It's like when you wi- like right now, how it's set up is there's 36 million small businesses, but the that employ 45% of the private workforce. So the percentage has not changed. And so I would be really curious and excited and energized to see what happens if we can, as a movement, move that percentage up to 50%. What could happen? What could that mean for our communities, um, our individual industries? I'd be really curious. It gets me excited to wonder what the possibilities could be with that, of how that could improve quality of life for our communities, and and then also a connection as well when it comes to small businesses. Is there like that? That'd be interesting to know as well. So more of this stuff to come, more of this to come for AI, relating to also shaping our future. And I do believe it that America's future is a small business renaissance. And if you are a small business owner that wants to also bring this into reality, you love this country, you want this country to improve and small businesses to improve, and you want to learn what other small business owners are doing across industries, and be able to adapt their strategies and implement that right away in your specific industry as a leader in your field, then I recommend that you come to A Future Fest. You learn more about it. This event is happening January 15th in downtown Charleston, South Carolina. It is going to be the kickoff event for the new year. It is going to be crazy for all the other events planned in the new year. But this one is the one that you don't want to miss out on, this one, because it's going to be setting the standard moving forward for these live events. And it gets me really excited for this intro event, for you to be able to come and experience it, and then to understand where this movement is going and the vision for this movement, and also for you to learn from others. So you can check out in the description, link to the website for more information, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.